How's it going, guys? It's Cass. So I thought I'd make a quick video talking about Poisonous Concoction because I just unlocked it here. I am obviously playing Pathfinder, and the version of Pathfinder that I'm playing is just like a general poison burst with toxic growth. The main idea is you throw down the toxic growth, then you poison burst mobs as they run over the toxic growth. These explode, it does a bunch of damage. It's actually a pretty good build, and I will probably do some more tuning on it and then release a guide about it. But it's pretty self-explanatory and pretty easy to follow for most people. But anyway, let's talk about Poisonous Concoction. I'm not sure if Poisonous Concoction got data mined or not. I didn't really look at any of the data mining stuff because I didn't want to spoil myself. But this is what Poisonous Concoction actually says. Unlike old Poisonous Concoction, when you consume a flash charge, it does not give you increased chaos damage. So it only has flat chaos damage. It always poisons, so you don't have to worry about chance to poison, and it increases the magnitude of the poison inflicted. And that's pretty much it. It's a skill that's interesting. It's a skill that does decent damage, but based off of tooltip, even with the supports, it's doing less damage than Poison Burst with no supports. Obviously, this is probably a bad way to calculate it, but it's just not very strong. And the main detractor from Poisonous Concoction is how the skill actually functions. So as you can see, as I'm throwing, it doesn't actually have a mana cost. It only takes mana from your flask. But the problem is once you run out of mana flask, and your mana flask isn't filling, you cannot use Poisonous Concoction. In PoE 1, when you ran out of life flask charges, you only lost the extra damage. You were still able to use the skill. In PoE 2, you can't use the skill. So it basically makes it so the idea of playing this skill as your main damage dealing definitely isn't a thing. Unless you do a ton of investment into flash charge generation. And while that might be a thing at the end game, I'm not sure if there's ever going to be a world where the damage trade-off is worth it when it comes to the amount that you're going to have to invest in order to play Poisonous Concoction. It's unfortunate, and at the same time, you also have to think we're using 4 ascendancy points or 2 ascendancy points, depending on how you go about it, to get to this point, right? So I just don't see a way where this is actually a viable skill. I hope that I'm wrong and someone finds something good for it, but for the time being, I think I'm probably just going to leave Poisonous Concoction to Path of Exile 1. It's unfortunate, but PoE 2 as a whole has been fantastic. I hope you guys have been enjoying it too. And I'm probably going to make a build talking about generally how I started Ranger into Pathfinder and how Pathfinder feels once I swap the ascendancies around. Probably either tomorrow or the next day, just going through like my day 1 progression. But yeah, so look out for that. And that's pretty much it. It seems like Poisonous Concoction is pretty much not really a thing, unfortunately.